We have new details tonight on the man accused of having an hours-long standoff with police. 35-year-old Hykeem Gaymon was arrested Friday after barricading himself in an apartment in Wilmington. He was due in court this morning. WECT's Ava Bringoy joins us now live from the New Hanover County Courthouse. Ava, Gaymon made his first appearance this morning.
It was here at the courthouse that we learned that Gaymon now faces one additional charge for resisting a public officer. That now brings the total number of charges that he faces up to 6. Now, the Wilmington Police Department tells us that Gaymon was arrested at Car Crossing Apartments after he allegedly forced his way into his sister's home and refused to leave. That standoff lasted 5 hours early Friday morning. We're told crisis negotiators and neighbors living at the complex helped Gaymon finally come out. He was taken into custody then and faces a slew of charges now, including breaking and entering with intent to terrorize, assault on a female, and assault by pointing a gun. Now, we do know Gaymon remains in jail tonight. He faces a $7,500 bond. We do know he is due back in court next month. Live in downtown Wilmington, Ava Bringoy, WECT News.